Bruce, thanks for coming through. Should we call it a trade war or not? Or do we call it a war when the tariffs actually begin to impose as the goods come through? Because this could still be sorted out, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, there are a lot of things that have to happen before customs inspectors are actually going with a pen and saying this thing and that thing. At this point, it's more like worldwide wrestling. It is an actual trade war. I mean, if for no other reason that the proposals that the Trump administration has made are not yet in force, right? They have to, interested parties, whether they're producers or consumers or importers or exporters, they get to have a moment to pose objections.
Right.
Then those objections have to be taken into consideration in some way, shape, or form. Eventually, if all goes according to the Trump administration's plan, they would get to the point where there were actual tariffs and they were actually imposed.
Yeah.
And the Chinese, which probably have a slightly quicker system on things
more
like
efficient
this,
system.
They would think so, certainly. Then they will, having already telegraphed what they will do, will turn around and proceed to do it.
Sure.
It's tariffs and export quotas and all the other paraphernalia of trade regulation.
Yeah.
They help and harm people in various kinds of ways.
Right.
And one of the things that I think most observers are missing is that if the Chinese were to impose their tariffs on certain types of American exports, most especially pork products and soybeans.
And they are targeting agricultural products from the list that we saw.
Because those are high visibility products. Iowa, the state of Iowa, major soybean producer.
Yeah.
More soybeans are grown in Iowa for China than for the United States consumption. Not surprisingly, soy and soy products are a big part of the Chinese diet.
Sure.
But what people are tending to forget is that that's a state that gave Donald Trump one of his early boosts in the presidential. And farmers, not just in Iowa, but across the board, they will probably preferentially be harmed by export issues.
Which brings me to my next question. Are the Chinese playing their politics smartly here by targeting those states or those products that will hurt the Republican cause in the medium to long term?
They are playing their cards in a way which they think will have that effect.
Will it?
Well, that's harder to tell. If, for example, there is a worldwide deficit of soybeans, the Chinese are still going to be importing them from the United States at whatever the price ends up being. If there's a worldwide surplus because of harvest circumstances, it has more of an effect. But for every soybean farmer, there's probably somebody who makes electronic goods in the United States who is cheering this on because of the possibility that Chinese imports to the U.S. of the listed electronic items will be harder to export and sell. So every tariff regimen cuts several ways at any given point.
Right.
The Chinese are probably trying to game the American political situation.
Right.
Whether they can be successful at it and adroit enough is a different question.
In his second year in the presidency, I think a lot of us said he wouldn't last his term. Well, he's in the second year. Let's see
He's got at least 2 more to go.
He's got 2 more to go. Why is he doing it?
Because it was a campaign promise.
But he's a liar, so it doesn't really matter whether he sticks to his promises or not, right?
Well, yes and no. I mean, he takes great pride in a select list of campaign promises. The wall against Mexicans coming into the United States illegally. That's a matter of deep personal promise for him. The fact that he believes, whether it's true or not, different question, but that he believes really deeply, deep inside of him, and has for many years, that the Chinese economy, the deal is stacked against the United States. The Chinese are stealing intellectual property. They are engaging in unequal intellectual protections for companies that are in China from the U.S. The Chinese are buying American companies and thereby gaining access to the stuff and making it as hard as possible for a whole class of American exports. He believes this really deeply, and it was a promise that he made during his campaign. Whether it was rash, good, bad, indifferent, different question.
We've got 3 minutes to go.
Sure.
And I want to cover a few more issues before I'll let you go.
I'll talk faster.
Okay, let me go faster. Can Donald Trump afford to take on China, given the system we just described before, efficient but perhaps not democratic, versus the kind of baggage that he has in the U.S. to deal with in order to get his measures through?
Well, one of the things that I did note this morning was that if all the tariffs the Chinese proposed are in fact applied, it would affect about 0.5% of the American gross domestic product. So in that sense, the gamble is that no matter what the Chinese do, up to a point, is a bearable cost. Whether Donald Trump can succeed against the Chinese, he's playing a game of chicken.
Right.
You know what the game of chicken is, right? 2 cars going down the road, there's a cliff at the end, one car has to decide to back off on the speed before the other.
Okay, I did not.
And he's betting that he can drive faster and turn more quickly than the Chinese will be able to.
Very dangerous, and I think it goes back to the description of Trump that we've heard before, maverick, eccentric, and totally unpredictable.
All the above. All of the above.
Okay. Can he afford to blink politically?
Well,
because the Chinese, we know he can afford to blink because he's got the state machinery in his hands. He's just consolidated his power base, right?
Yeah, forever, it would appear.
Exactly, absolutely, 100%. This is why I'm thinking this is madness.
Well, I mean, the Trump mindset is such that he doesn't hold to Republican Party orthodoxy. Republicans traditionally have been free traders. Keep the market tariffs and barriers as low as possible both ways. His version of things is a much starker protectionist view, but he's betting that in crucial races across the country in this midterm election that comes up in, what, 8 months, 6 months? That candidates who support him more than support the traditional Republican views will win the primaries in their party and will be triumphant at the polls. That the Democrats are obviously betting against. And the smart money right now, at least in the generic polls, is that this is a bet that the Republicans as a whole are going to lose.
Absolutely. Your looking glass, please. Is this going to go out into a full-blown trade war? Or someone is going to blink?
No.
Who is going to blink?
We're going to end up at the World Trade Organization, where it will become the subject of years of litigation and arbitration and mediation. It'll be a war of dueling position papers that will last the rest of our lives.
Absolutely. And Trump will be long gone by then. He will be a memory. We'll have forgotten about him, but we'll say that madman who sat in the White House. Thank God he's gone.
Or it will be a game changer, and it will change the texture of what goes to the World Trade Organization.
Did you say he's going to last his term?
He'll last his term unless the Russia investigation produces solid evidence that he knowingly was part of some sort of effort to engage in illegal or illicit behavior. Or he wakes up one morning and he says, oh, the heck with it, I'm bored by this, and quits.
Spector, thank you. Spector, an associate editor at the Daily Maverick.